Hello students, I am here with another video from the chapter of class 7th NCERT book, that is the reproduction in plants. Before starting today's video, I would like to tell you all that till now what all things we have discussed in this chapter. So we have started with the word reproduction, where I told you that reproduction means the production of or the development of a new individual from the existing ones, from the parent. Okay, so here we are talking exclusively only about the plants, where in the plants there are two types of reproduction. One is the sexual reproduction and the other one is the asexual reproduction. So till now we have completed about the first part of the chapter, that is asexual mode of reproduction in plants, where it is being done with the various processes like the budding, fragmentation. Then we also saw about the vegetative propagation. So in the last class I have discussed in details about the vegetative propagation, where we saw the different methods of vegetative propagation. It means that it takes place naturally as well as the artificially. So if it is taking place naturally, it means that it is going to be done with the help of, means the vegetative propagation is happening because of the presence of the vegetative parts in the plants. So the vegetative part consists of leaf, stem, roots. Okay, so all these were the vegetative parts from where a new plant was arising. So this vegetative propagation is happening. If it is happening in the nature, it is the natural vegetative propagation. Whereas if it is taking place in the laboratories or in the test tubes, which you could see here and the back side of the diagram, that the test tubes are being placed, and here what is happening, the plants, small plants are being generated. So how these plants are being produced? These plants are being produced because of the presence of the important nutritional substance which is present here in the test tube. Okay, so this is known as about the culture medium. So the culture medium means it is the liquid, it is the nutritional liquid where the new plants are being generated, they are being produced. And once they are being produced in the this culture medium, then these plants are ready for the movement, for the sowing of these plants into the soil. Now if it is being sown into the soil, it is going to grow in a very healthy manner, as it was being grown in the, as it was very similar to the plants which are grown directly into the soil. So they are being generated in the test tube, but they are always sown in the soil. Okay, so this was about the artificial vegetative propagation. So this culture medium means this tissue culture technique was very important as compared to the grafting, layering and cutting. So this cutting was only done because one stem was there, a long stem, where this long stem was being broken into, means it was cut into different parts, then each part was grown into the complete plant by sowing it into the soil. Similarly, the layering was done. One flexible branch from a mature plant was taken, and then it was being bent, and after that it was being sown into the soil, and then after some time, after some days, some days, though what happens now, the new plant was generated. Okay, now at the last grafting was there, where one scion and stalk was there. Means stalk means it is the two plants we have taken. So one plant was having good root system and the other plant was having good shoot system. So the plant which was having good root system is known as the stalk, and the plant which was having good shoot system, which was known as the scion. So where the scion was being grafted over the stalk, because the stalk was having extensive root system, so it was absorbing the nutrient, it was absorbing the materials, it was absorbing the minerals, and once it is being absorbed by the minerals were being absorbed, then what happens? This is going to give rise, this is going to help the scion to stick over it, to be joined over it. After joining, once they are being joined properly, then what happens? It is going to be developed in the form of complete plant. Now after the development of the complete plant, after some days, you will see that once the two stem has become one. So once they are joined together, they are going to give rise to the desired characteristics of the plant. So this was only done in the grafting, whereas the advanced technique, that is the tissue culture which is being shown here, is the most advanced technique which is responsible for the growth of the plants in the test tubes. Okay, once they are being grown in the test tubes, then what happens? They are being utilized because of the presence of the culture medium, and once the culture medium is there, so this culture medium is being helping these plants to grow properly. Now once they are grown properly, then what happens? They are going to produce the desired qualities of the plant. So these plants are very healthy, so these can be grown, we can grow a large number of plants in a very small span of time. Okay, so these are the various advantages, these are some advantages of using the vegetative propagation, because in vegetative propagation the desired quality of the plants were generated. We can generate a large number of plants at the same time, because we can use hundreds of test tubes and we can generate these types of plants in it, and then one of the plant is taken out and then it is being sown into the soil. So these was few of the good qualities of vegetative propagation. There were some bad qualities also, means there were some disadvantages of using this technique, because if diseased plant is there, then what happens? This diseased plant is going to transfer the disease from one plant to another plant, and similarly all the plants would be under the condition of the diseased condition. Okay, so these were the few disadvantages. So with this I am going to start with the new slide. I mean, I am going to tell you about the next part of this chapter, that is the sexual mode of reproduction. Now we move on to the next part, that is the sexual mode of reproduction in plants. So this is the second part of the chapter, that is the sexual mode of reproduction. So here sexual mode of reproduction means it is the formation of the new plants with the fusion of the male and female gametes. Now what is the meaning of the female gametes and the male gametes? I'll just talk in few minutes. So first we will see that why the sexual reproduction is taking place. So the sexual reproduction of the plants is going to be there present in the flowers or in the plants where the seeds are being produced. Okay, now if you think about the fruits, the vegetables, each and every part consists, each and every organisms, I mean plant is having the seeds. Okay, most of them have the seeds. Whether the seeds are capable of producing the new ones or not, but they are having the seeds. So if we talk about the mango tree or neem tree or peepal tree or banyan trees, all these are having the seeds. So these seeds are only responsible for the growth of the new plants. So this is how the sexual reproduction takes place, and it gives rise to a seed. Now why this is happening? For that we need to study about the different types of flowers first. So here it is written that it is always carried out by the flowering plants. Why? Because what is the flower? Flower is the reproductive structure. As we have earlier talked about, that a plant has two parts. It was having the vegetative part. So we discussed a lot about vegetative part, where vegetative propagation was completely based upon the vegetative parts. Now we are only left with the reproductive. Okay, it was with the reproductive part of the flower. Reproductive part of flower. Okay, so that is why the reproductive part only is responsible for the sexual reproduction in the plants. Okay, now why is it so that reproductive part is responsible? Now based upon the reproductive parts, the flowering plants are there, and each and every flower has two types of reproductive part. One is the female reproductive part and the second one is the male reproductive part in the plants. Now if we talk about the flowers with the reproductive organ of a plant, there are two types of flowers in the nature. So what kind of flowers are there and how they are being based upon? These are categorized on the category of the presence or absence of the reproductive part in a plant. Okay, now if the flower is having the reproductive parts, if we talk about the reproductive part of the plant, these are the female reproductive part, okay, which consist of the stigma, style and ovary. Okay, and the male reproductive part, which is the stamen. Okay, this was pistil. So I'm just telling you the names directly, and I'm not discussing this. Why? Because in the lower classes you might have studied about the structure of flower. So the structure of flower consists of two parts. Okay, I'll just show you a slide where I'll just draw and tell you the types of the reproductive parts which are present. Okay, now I'll just inform you after this. First we'll discuss about this bisexual and unisexual flowers. Now here, if the reproductive parts are, both the reproductive parts are present in a flower, it is known as a complete, or it is known as bisexual flower. Bi means two. And if both the reproductive parts are present in one single flower, it is known as a bisexual flower. And incomplete, whereas incomplete or unisexual flower means it has only one reproductive part. Okay, either they have the male reproductive part or the female reproductive part in their flowers. Okay, now what happens in the bisexual flowers, for example, they have the reproductive cells. See, it's written here also, it has male and female reproductive cells. It has all the four parts: sepals, petals, stamen and pistil. Okay, so and the examples are the hibiscus, citrus fruits, citrus flowers are there. Okay, so many are there. So most of them are bisexual flower, but still in the nature we find the unisexual flowers where only either the male or the female reproductive part might be present in that flower. So that flower has only three parts, that is sepal, petal, stamen and pistil. Stamen or pistil, not and, or pistil. Only one part might be present, either stamen or pistil. Okay, so here we can study about the organs based the name of the plants, name of the flowers, and you could also collect some of the other names of the unisexual and the bisexual flowers from your book or outside from your book. Even you can observe also. Now if we talk about the structure of flower, we can say that there are two types of the reproductive organs in each and every flower. Now for that you should recall the diagram of the flower, which is based upon the reproductive parts of a flower. So these are the reproductive organs of a flowering plant. So you could see here, as it's given, that reproductive organs of a flowering plant consist of the male reproductive part and the female reproductive part. So the male reproductive part is this, and which consists of a stamen. It is also known as stamen. It consists of anther and filament. Okay, and female reproductive part consists of the three main organs, that is stigma, style and ovary wall. Okay, so here the flowering plant has the two reproductive parts, that is, one is the male reproductive part, another one is the female reproductive part. Okay, so here the reproductive parts of the flower are only responsible for the sexual reproduction. How? So what happens here is the stamen also has one type of structure, or we can say that this stamen has a male gamete. Okay, and this pistil has, or the carpel has, the female gamete. Okay, now if we talk about the male and female gamete in details, we will just go on when I am going to teach you about the next step of the sexual reproduction. Then I will tell you more about these gametes. Okay, so if we think that these two parts, that is the anther and the filament. So this anther consists of pollen grains. It is full of pollen grains. And this ovary consists of the small structure, the small structure which are said to be as they are going to form the seed, or they are going to help in the sexual mode of reproduction, because they are going to give rise to a new plant. So it has a small structure known as ovule. These are the small seeds. So these ovules are going to develop in the form of seeds. So once this pollen and the ovule is going to they are going to join, or they are going to unite, they are going to give rise to a seed. Fine. So the two organs, that is the stamen and the pistil, these are, if both of them are present in one single flower, it is known as the complete flower, or it was known as the bisexual flower. Okay, now if we just now we talked about the unisexual and bisexual flower. So bisexual flower means it is the flower which consists of both the parts. As you could see here in the diagram, this is a bisexual flower. Okay, why it is a bisexual flower? Because bi means two, and what two we are talking about? We are talking about the stamen and the pistil. Okay, so these two organs, these two parts, if they are present in a flower, is known as a bisexual flower. Now if we talk about a unisexual flower, it means we are talking either of them. Either the male reproductive part will be present, or the female reproductive part will be present in a plant. Okay, so this was about the reproductive organs of a flowering plant, and about the bisexual flower and the unisexual flower. Now I move on to the next slide, that is going to tell you about the next step of sexual reproduction, that is the pollination. So this is one of the most important part of the sexual mode of reproduction, which is the pollination. Now what does this pollination means? So this pollination means it is a transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a flower is known as pollination. Now where is this pollen grains present? So here this pollen grains are coming into the picture. Now I just now told you that the anther consists of this. If suppose that this is an anther, okay, if I draw this anther properly, now what happens here? It has the powder like structure, the small structure, which are responsible for the pollination. Now how it is responsible, I'll just tell you. So these powder like structure which is filled inside the anther. So if this is an anther, now this is going to be filled with the small powder like substance, and that is going to help in the formation of the seeds. So this is known as the pollen. Okay, it is also known as pollen grain. Okay, it is also known as pollen grains. Now these pollen grains are going to transfer from one part to the another part of a flower. So it is going to transfer from the anther to the stigma. Stigma means, again we are talking about this female reproductive part. If we say this is the stigma, so what happens? Pollen grain has to come out from anther, it has to stick on to the stigma. That is why its name is stigma. So once it sits and sticks on the stigma, this process of transference is known as pollination. Okay, so pollen grains are being transferred from the anther, from where they are produced, to the stigma of a flower is known as pollination. Okay, it is known as pollination. So now these pollen grains are they are not going to be transferred on their own. They don't have legs, they cannot walk. So what they are going to, how they are getting transferred? They are going to transfer with the help of certain agents. So with the help, what kind of help it is? It is taken from the atmosphere. The help is also taken from the environment. So this transference either takes place with the help of the wind, the water, or the insect. Okay, it is known as, it could be taken place with the help of wind, water, or insect. Fine, as you could see here with the wind also, if the wind is blowing, the anther is present, the stigma is present, very close to each other. Now what happens? The pollen grains are coming out from the anther and it goes and stick onto the stigma. Or if the butterfly comes and sits on a flower, it is going to take up the pollen grains. Okay, the pollen grains will be sticked into the body of the insect, and they are going to move from one flower to another flower, and then once they are going to sit on the stigma of the flower of the same type, it is going to grow it is going to transfer that pollen grains from the body of that insect to the flower. or the water is there, rainfall is happening, so this rain is going to carry away. Okay, so these are the ways by which the pollen grains are transferred from one flower to another flower. Now the question comes, the types of pollination. Now what are the types of pollination? The types, there are two types of pollination, self pollination and cross pollination. Okay, now what are the self pollination and the cross pollination? We'll just study. So if the pollen grains are going to land on the stigma of the same flower, it is known as self pollination. Okay, fine. Now if the pollen grains are going to land from one flower, one stigma of one flower to the another flower, it is known as cross pollination. Got it? So if we talk about the pollen grains, if we talk about the pollination, it means that the stigma of the same flower, if it is there, and then the stamens, the pollen grains are also from the same flower, then it is known as self pollination. And if the flowers are different, it is known as cross pollination. I move on to the next slide and I'll tell you about how this is taking place. So pollination is very simple, that it is a transference of the pollen grains from anther to stigma of a flower is known as pollination. Now the transfer could take place in two ways, either on the same flower. If the flower is bisexual, then it is going to take place in the same flower, okay, or it could take place in the different flowers. If the flowers were unisexual, then what happens? The anther is present somewhere else and the stigma is present somewhere else. The pollen grains are present somewhere else and the stigmas are present somewhere else. Now how they are going to transfer? They are going to transfer from one place to another place, from one flower to another flower. That flower could be present on the same plant or it could be present on the different place, at a different place. So the variety remains same, but the flowers could be two in number. So what happens? This is known as cross pollination. Okay, I'll just show you with the help of a diagram. If the flower is same, as you could see here, the anthers are present, this yellow colored part, this is called anther. They are present on the same flower and the stigma is also present on the same flower as it is shown here. Okay, so this is known as now what happens? The pollen grains are going to transfer from the anther to the stigma of the same plant, same flower. So this is known as self pollination. Okay, now you just think like that, if it is taking place, if it is like a flower, I must draw the structure of a flower first. Suppose that this is a flower. Okay, it has anther, in it. Okay, or the anthers are present like this here. Fine. Now if the stigma is present here and the anthers are also present here, now what happens? This pollen grains are over here. Okay, now the pollen grains are going to transfer from the anther of the one flower to the stigma of on the same flower, because both the things are present over the same place. One flower consists of anther and the stigma. This has anther, so this is the anther and this is stigma, and this is the pistil which is in which this one is stigma. Now what happens? If the flowers are two in number, now if I draw two flowers, now what happens? Now what happens? If I draw a flower like this, I know it is not drawn very clearly, but still you could understand. Fine. If one more flower is there, and it is of same variety, just remember these are the stamens. Okay, so if it is of same variety, that is why I have drawn it with the same color. Okay, now what happens? If the pollen grains are present over here, okay, and this is stigma, pollen grains are present over here, and this is stigma. Now if the transference is taking place from the anther to the stigma of the same plant, it is known as self pollination. Okay, and if the flowers of the same varieties are present away from each other, now what happens? The anther is present here, the pollen grain is present here, it is going, or the pollen grains are present here, it is going from here to the stigma of the flower on the second plant or the second flower. This one is the first flower, this one is the second flower, if you think. So this is going to cross each other, means it is going to move from one place to another place, means the flower variety remains same, but the anther and the stigmas are different. Okay, because it is present in the different flower. So this type of pollination is known as cross pollination. Okay, so this is known as cross pollination. Just remember that this type of pollination will always it is going to take place in the unisexual flower, and this takes place in the bisexual flower. Now why? The reason is very clear. In bisexual flower, both the reproductive parts are present on the same plant. Okay, both the reproductive parts are present on the same plant, here also and here also. Okay, now what happens in the next? In the cross pollination, both the parts are present away from each other. In bisexual flower, the possibilities are two, that whether the anther and stigmas are present on the same plant, same flower, so it could be self pollination could also take place, and if it is taking place on a different flower, it could be the cross pollination. So here in bisexual flower, this bisexual flower can have two possibilities of cross as well as the self pollination both. Now but in unisexual flower, only one possibility is there, that is of cross pollination, because the anther, the stamen and the pistils are present on the different flowers. Even the plant could be different. Sometimes some of the flowers are unisexual, some of the flowers are having the male reproductive organ, whereas the other flowers are having the female reproductive organs in it. So if they are going to cross, they could be present on the same plant or they could be present on the different plant. Okay, so that is why the cross pollination always happens in the unisexual flowers, like papaya, watermelon, all these are unisexual flowers. And the bisexual flowers are all which are present, which are seeded plants, so they are going to develop the seeds. But remember that seed is always developed in the female reproductive organ. Okay, so here inside the ovary, ovule was present, so here the seed is going to develop. Okay, so now what happens? We have talked about the pollination, so we saw that there are two types of pollination, self and the cross pollination. So what does this self pollination's definition say? So this says that self pollination is a pollen grains are transferred from anther to the stigma of the same flower, just remember. And the cross pollination means it is the transference of the pollen grains they are transferred from the anther of one flower to the stigma of the another flower of the same kind or the different plants. This is known as the cross pollination. So it is very clear, it's very easy to understand now that the flowers are going to be different. If it is different, it is a cross pollination, and if it is same, it is self pollination. For this, you should always understand the concept of unisexual and bisexual flower. Okay, so if it is taking place in the same, if the reproductive parts are present on the same flower, it means it is the unisexual flower. And if it is taking place in the different flower, it means if it is taking place on the same flower, it means it is bisexual flower. And if the cross pollination is happening, it means it is the unisexual flower, definitely. Why? The reason I have told you now. Now if we can say, you can also make a list of the unisexual and bisexual flowers to understand the cross and the self pollination. So this is one of the this is the first step of the sexual reproduction. Okay, that is pollination. Fine. So here only the one more thing which needed to be discussed was the different parts of a flower, where I told you that in this diagram where we have seen the parts of a reproductive parts, you have only seen. So what two more parts were left? These were the sepals. Here you could see the sepals and the petals. Okay, these are the petals. So these sepals and the petals, they are going to move from they are going to dry up once the seeds are formed. So these parts are only responsible, these two parts are only responsible for the formation of seeds. Now how this seed is going to be produced, we'll read it in the next class. Okay, so children, we have seen that the pollination was the first step of sexual reproduction. Why? Because we need to transfer the gametes. Now where were the gametes present? So male gametes is present, this male gamete is present in the pollen grain, or we can say that pollen grain is the male gamete and ovule is the female gamete. Okay, so please remember that ovule is the female gamete which is present in the ovary, and the male gamete is present in the pollen grains which is present in the anther. So because of which only the pollination is taking place, so that the pollen grains which contains male gamete should reach to the female gamete. Okay, so this was all about the pollination, children, which is of two types, and where we have seen the different flowers are required, or the same flowers are required, same flower is required, the variety remains same, and plants could be different, flowers could be different in cross pollination. So this was all about today's video, children. I will meet you all in the next video with the next topic to be discussed.